Last year in the Fringe, Brian Balcolm collaborated with two great local actors and a great local playwright and came up with one of the shows that I liked the best in last year's Fringe, How to Cheat. He's back again in this year's Fringe, partnering up with a new playwright and an ensemble of actors, and we'll talk a little bit about that show and the new theater group, which Brian has founded to get more local playwrights on stage and go through their unique collaborative process. So here with me now is Brian Balcolm, director, and Steve Moulds, the playwright of Killer Smile, the show they're going to do together. So thanks for being here with us, guys.
Thank you, Matthew.
So Brian, let's start by going over sort of your history, or your recent history with the Fringe and starting the new theater group.
Well, growing up in Minneapolis, the Fringe has always been a presence theatrically. I've been to see Fringe shows off and on for I don't know how many years now, but last year was the first year I decided to take one on, and I worked with Alan Burks, a playwright I met through the Playwright Center. He was a Jerome Fellow, and we just decided we needed to do a show, and we thought the Fringe would be a good outlet for that. And we kind of developed this process kind of by accident, and where Alan and we met and we talked about what we wanted to do a show about, what we thought was important, what we thought needed to be said, what issues were important to us, what we wanted to address. And what we did then was we cast two actors that we liked, that we knew, that we respected, and we met with them, we sat down with them and talked about those ideas and if they had any thoughts about that and what kind of characters they wanted to play, what challenged them, what they wanted to try. And then Alan went back and he wrote a script specifically for us, specifically for the two actors to play to their strengths, for me to direct, and for the venue that we were going to be in, because we knew at that time we were going to be at the U of M. And it turned out to be a wonderfully personal and unique show that was a lot of fun, and we're doing it again this year. And this year we have Steve Moulds, who is our playwright, and we have a great cast of actors, and we're excited to do it.
Okay, and Steve, have you worked with Brian before on other projects?
Yeah, Brian and I actually go back to, we became friends while he was in Louisville working, and I used to work at Actors Theater of Louisville, and we met there, and we'd sort of socially known each other, and we were both kind of directors on the assistant directing circuit. But then January, a show of mine, which has an incredibly long title, which, if you'd like me to give it.
Yeah, sure, because I'm sure you'll remember it much better than I will.
The show is called The Entirely Unexpected Yet Somewhat Inevitable Rise to Power of Count Theodore Thomas Timothy von Rollo III in 2 parts. And it got a workshop production at the Illusion Theater. And I asked Brian to direct it because I'd seen How to Cheat, and I thought, hey, he's a good director, so I want a good director to work on my play, so I asked Brian. And he'd been my friend already, but I'd never really seen anything he directed. And then I saw that, and I was like, oh, good, I can, like, enjoy my friend's work and actually think he's a good... Sometimes you're friends with people, but you don't necessarily want to work with them, and I'm getting myself in trouble. Anyway, so yeah.
And you decided to work together again, so that's
And we decided to work together again, yeah. So he didn't hate it too much, which is good.
And that's really kind of what the new theater group is about. Not only just this, kind of semi-backwards development process, but also just about, partnerships being most important between artists. It's not about finding a script first. It's about finding people first, and finding people you can work with, and finding people you like to work with, and where that creativity will be synergistic, and developing a show that way.
So when you say sort of the backwards development process, you don't actually have a script first and then auditions and everything. You look for.
Right. I look for a playwright whose work I've seen, whose work I like, and after that we, like I said, talk about ideas, and then we cast. Essentially, and the casting process is generally just, hey, you're my friend, I like you. You want to be in a show? Steve's writing it. It'll be great. Pretty much like that. For people we're slightly more unfamiliar with, we just basically sit down with them over coffee or over a drink and talk about, work they've done and how they like to work, the process, what we want to do, and we just try to get a feel for them and if they'd be a good partner to work with. So it's all about the relationships and the personalities and bringing a good group of diverse, creative people into the mix, and hopefully that will produce good work. And it has once in the past, and we think it'll happen again.
Okay, all right. And Steve, the Killer Smile, the script that you're working on now for this group, where did that come from?
So the sort of...
And what's the premise of it, too? I mean,
well, yeah,
for the uninitiated, the people who aren't in your rehearsal process, what's the play about? Where did it come from?
Well, Killer Smile, all it was a title and a premise until we had this cast. And then the premise is essentially we've got a group of people that are trapped in a place, in a waiting room space, and it's a surprise birthday party, and the guest of honor isn't showing up. And the longer this goes on, the more sort of torturous it becomes. And so I was interested in that as a vehicle for comedy, and I was interested in that as a vehicle for sort of extreme emotion. And I'm a big fan of like containing people in a room or like unit sets. I like unit sets.
They're cheaper too.
Well,
they're
yes,
cheaper, but
theater likes unit sets too. So.
You know, I'm a traditionalist, and yeah. So that was sort of the premise, was just that, you know, and also of course that there are these party favors, which are these sort of like cardboard smiles on popsicle sticks, which people hold up in front of their mouths when they're like, someone's coming in and they hold it up in front of their mouths and then, surprise, you know. So everyone's got these smiles, which is where the title came from, Killer Smile. So that's the idea. And then we cast the actors and we wanted to get a good group because everybody was going to be on stage at some point. Like, for long stretches of the script, like everybody's on stage. So we wanted a group of actors that would be good party guests, party goers. Yeah.
We cast people we wanted to have a party with.
Yeah. I think that's a good way of putting it.
And how is this process different for you as a writer? Sort of starting, you have an idea, but then you're bringing particular actors into the process, and how do they work with you? Is there improv involved? Is it sort of sitting down and talking about ideas and then you go away and write? How does that all work? I imagine it's different depending on which collaborators you're working with, but I mean, how is it working for you this time?
Well, for this one, it's what's different for, I mean, I've never written a play like this where the actors were already set. Von Rollo, that we worked on in January, that one, I wrote that, that took me 4 years to write. And it was very much like, that was a process of me removing myself from it, because it was all like, hey, I'm this character. And then it's like slowly over time taking that out. This was, the process here was sitting down, talking about ideas, me taking copious notes, and then essentially coming up with all the actors' wish lists. So that was my favorite part of the conversation, was when people said, I've always wanted to do this, or I've always wanted to have this happen in a play. And then the writing process has been trying to accommodate those things. So hopefully we'll get that sing-along that we're... One of the actors, Jeannie Park, requested that everybody sings along to the same song, which I'm like incredibly excited by, and I'm trying to find a way to make it work. So, yeah.
Yeah, we sat down over brunch a couple months back, and with all the actors and Steve and I, and it was just basically an open brainstorming kind of thing where we asked them, well, what do you think about this idea? Does anybody have any stories about surprise birthday parties that have been successful, that have gone awry? What kind of characters are you interested in playing? What kind of characters do you usually get pigeonholed in and don't want to do anymore? And it can be things as specific as a sing-along, or it can be things a little weirder like, for How to Cheat, Randy Reyes said he wanted to secretly be good at something that you wouldn't expect. And you know, it's just open for things like that. So it was a great time, and we got a lot of great ideas out of it.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, we'll take a little break here, and then we'll come back and talk some more about your process and the new theater group and what you've got going on.
Great.